Welcome back to another episode of Room 109. I'm your host, Miss Yama, and today I'm here with my friend named Kai. But I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Kai. I guess you can call me someone of the community with a opinion.
Okay, what an opinion. Today we are gonna be talking about the roots, growth, navigating Black culture, personal purpose. Thank you for coming on. We knew each other since middle school. This is kind of like I'm not gonna lie, this is crazy. I love this because I feel like you don't get to see people who know each other for that long.
Mhm.
And I just think it's a blessing. Both of us being Boston natives. So we're just gonna, dive right into it. And we're gonna talk about some of the unique challenges of growing up and being Black in Boston. So yeah, let's get into it.
All right, let's do it.
So what's your thoughts? Like, come on, like Boston native, Boston born and raised, like let me know.
Boston is it's a unique city. It's a melting pot for different any race you can think of is in Boston, like for sure.
I
But
get it that.
where we grew up, the like Boston, which we call Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and Hyde Park, that's real Boston. It's
Say that
predominantly
again. It's not Cambridge, Boston, Brighton,
yeah.
Marlboro. Piss me off.
Those boroughs are predominantly black and have a lot of Caribbean ethnicities in there. So
Caribbean,
growing up
African,
there,
Hispanic.
yeah, growing up there is like it's cool. You meet different people. Everyone doesn't like see each other as like a well. I don't know from a men's perspective, we don't really like see each other like oh those are the Spanish guys. Those are if you grew up in a neighborhood, you grew up in a neighborhood. Like
Yeah,
those are the guys. No matter what you are. There's some Spanish neighborhoods, some Cape Verde neighborhoods, but even then they accept people of color, so it wasn't really no racial barriers then.
yeah, I agree. I would say for me, I think a lot of people don't know, but like born and raised Roxbury, my mother's hair salon was in Dudley. Um, up until maybe COVID, that's when we moved to Bloor Ave. But always been around that area. Um, I would say for me growing up, I feel like I've always been in the heart of Boston and my mother being a hairdresser. And not until recently, one of my TikToks went viral because I was like, she's the OG of Boston. And everybody was like, yeah, your mother is the OG. Like, we know your mother, you know your mother. And I'm like, yo, my mother really the OG. Like, she's been doing this for 23 years. And like, so much people know her. And I would say, like, as someone who is African, I feel like I never saw a divide in my community. Like we went to Tech Boston Middle School. I went to Boston Arts Academy. I feel like I've always experienced positivity. Like we had Black men and Black women as teachers. So when people talk about, I think I didn't face anything. I didn't see what microaggressions and discrimination was up until college.
Same.
College wasn't until I was like, this is the Boston y'all are talking about, because of the fact that I feel like I've stayed in my area. Like, all jokes aside, like, I went from when I did go to Tech Boston, it was from Tech Boston, from like Mattapan, Roxbury, back to Mattapan, back to Hyde Park. Like, you know what I mean? And then when I went to Boston Arts Academy, I was from like in that Fenway area and Copley, but then I went back to Roxbury, back to my mother's shop, and then we went back to Hyde Park. So I feel like I've always been in my bubble up until I went to college. And that's when I started to see like the bureaucracy and the change within the city.
And I definitely feel you on that. College for me was like the first time there was more white people than there was black people in my life. And we had a conversation. I forgot what class it was. It was just a random class I took where we just like talk about all different kind of stuff. And I was telling the professor that she's gonna ask me, "Oh, do you feel scared? Like, are you nervous?" I'm like, "No, it's just a different experience." And I came to realize like my opinion on white people changed. Like I think white people was one way, but it was like, nah, there's different forms of white people now. Like there's the cool ones, then there's the ones you can tell the ones that are like, nah, I ain't fuck with you, but I had to respect those, even the ones that don't really fuck with people of color. I had to respect them because they're speaking their truth to me. Like some people are, oh, you gonna what if they say they like Trump or they're this person. Like I got like for instance, I used to be like, oh fuck, you fuck with Trump and you're a Republican, I ain't fuck with you, I ain't fuck with you. And so I went to college and we had these conversations and people they asked me, yo, what's your like your political stance? And a lot of people I agreed with were Republicans. And I was like, oh, damn, let me think this back. Like, am I really like just saying shit because people say shit, or from my experience, do I pick a side because of who I met and the conversation I had? And
Mm.
that's when I learned like you can't just think like, all right, these people, this race of people is just like this. Nah, there's some people in that race that think just like you, who have the same beliefs, who believe in the same type of God. It was it was an eye opener for me. I enjoyed it, and I was definitely the Boston kid. So since the school's in Newton, everyone who wasn't from Boston but knew of Boston, but oh, y'all from Boston? Like, what's Boston like? What's this like? What's that like? Like,
What's
we
his
even had a kid on the team, white dude from New Hampshire, who said the N word. Like, not like not on no disrespectful, like niggas, like how I just said, like, oh, what's up, my nigga? And then
Why
he
did
was
he feel comfortable? Why do you think he felt comfortable to even?
because the people around him let him feel comfortable. So the people from Springfield, Connecticut, out of town, they let him get away with it. As a freshman, he was like, "Yo, y'all let him say that?
Yeah, like that's
Yeah,
not.
bro, he's cool to it." I'm like, "Nah, that's not cool." Then one day, I don't know if you know him, but my boy Buki, he was having an argument with one dude, and his turn to him was like, "Yo,
I know you're talking about.
if I ever catch you saying the N word again, I'm gonna fuck you up." And Buki's big, black, muscular, so those white dudes were like, they was intimidated by Buki low key. So he was like, all right, bro. We never heard him say it again. And they was like, everyone was like, why didn't y'all do it? I was like, because one, we was freshmen, and how they treated freshmen on the football team was like we was less than. So our opinion didn't really matter. And
Mm.
then me, I was already in like a political bind because it was around the same time Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee. And then so I did that. Like the coach had a conversation before then about taking a knee, and I was like, he thought like by him having a conversation and saying like, oh, we got dudes in the military or their family members or all that. I was respecting what he was saying and expressing his feelings, but I never said I was not going to take a knee.
Mm.
So when it came to me taking a knee, about the first game of the season, like he's yelling at me like I'm taking a knee. I take a knee, and I watch him come from the back line all up next to me. So when it was over and I stood up, he's in my face screaming at me. And I'm just repeating, I'm standing for what I believe in. I stand for what I believe in. And after that, all the players like started liking me and respecting me. Like, nah, we respect that. Like, you stood for what you believed in. You didn't let the coach, the playing time, or like the politics in football like affect you. I'm like, nah, because and I told him, I'm like, bro, I don't need this. Because at the time, I wasn't really into football. I just got back into football at the
Yeah.
time. So I was like, I don't need this. Like, I'm in college. Like, I'm here just to vibe out in college. And he respected that, and the players respected that. So that's how they earned my respect. So I wasn't trying to really, because when you go straight political on them, now I become like growing up, Jalen used to call me Huey P. Newton, and like the Black Panther kid. Like I become that. And I was like, I ain't trying to do that. I'm just standing for what I believe in. Like, I knew why he took a knee. It wasn't shit on the military. It was just saying his awareness of what's going on in our community with these
Yeah.
type of people. That's all. But yeah,
How did you think it made you feel?
it made me feel like definitely that I had a voice
Okay.
because I'm learning now as I'm growing up and I'm real what my passion is. I'm a natural born leader, but through experiences when I was able to lead when I was immature, people's perception on me I didn't like.
Mm.
And it's like, well, I do shit for people. If I did shit for Kai, no one would like me. Anybody like they would think I'm the most selfish, disrespectful person. But if you're telling me to lead these group of people, the message I'm giving to the people I'm leading, I don't give a fuck how I'm saying it. It's to help you get better. But then I realized as I get older, some people aren't just that mentally strong and witty to handle that yelling or that swearing in between the message. So I had to switch it up a little bit. But that experience in college made me realize, like, all right, you can move people just by action, Kyle. You don't even have to say too much. And
Yeah.
I didn't, and I only explained myself to the people that came up to me asking me why I did what I did. I wasn't just going around explaining myself to everybody. No, that wasn't happening. I feel like I'm too big for that. But that experience definitely like it made me realize, yes, Kyle, you can lead a group of people. You can make mountains move just by action.
I really love this perspective and what you said because I think that's when I found out my voice. Just prior to us like catching up, when you asked me like room 109 and like what was it, and I told you about how I started in college because everyone used to come to my room to have that conversation, but to also add on, like I brought back like our Black Student Union and our multicultural organization Harambe, and I was the only NPC on campus, the only Zeta on that PWI campus, and imagine like little old me, Boston girl, like didn't get into none of the schools she wanted to get into, and I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, Providence Place Plantation, not even knowing. the
And you're
history.
from Boston. They don't like us in Providence. They don't fuck with us
Probably
at all.
was an interesting place. But I will say though, to the point of like taking stand, I saw something I was missing. I took initiative, and I had a little dream, and it got big. Like I knew I took an organization that was dormanted, and I was able to bring Ilyas Shabazz. I was able to touch the hands of Dr. Cornel West. I was able to bring in communities, churches, local leaders to our school, and I was able to really bring the voices of Black History Month. Like, if you know, you know, like Black History Month was big. Like one thing about Tech Boston, especially Miss Milton, shout out to my girl, Miss Milton, doing things and making things happen. I mean, like if it wasn't for her Sojourner Truth Ain't I a Woman, if it wasn't for Miss Leonard in theater, you're just showing me who my Black history was. I was like, what do you mean y'all don't celebrate Black History Month all month long? Like, what do you mean we are not doing programming to teach our Black and brown students how to advocate and speak for themselves? And why are we talking about journaling and relationships, and what does it look like to be in relationships? Why aren't we having community workshop dances? Why aren't we working with one another? Like it wasn't there, you know what I mean? And I got a lot of ridicule. Like I got chased down. People were writing notes on my door because of what I was doing. You know what I mean? Some of my members having white trucks follow them around campus, and I'm going into the student union. I'm having meetings with, the president. I'm having meetings with whoever, because you're not about to knock me down. And that's when I realized my voice was powerful, because
Yeah.
for a very long time, I felt like I was small. And I felt like I was small because I never had faith in myself, because I always knew I had a big voice and I always knew I was a leader, but I never leaned into it. I've always
Yeah.
got afraid of how
Yeah.
big my voice can. Like I'm like, yeah, this is me, but I also think as a Black woman, as someone who is a little bit more stern in her voice, a little bit more louder in her voice, I'm often called dramatic. I'm often called you're doing too much. I'm often overlooked for expressing how I feel. I'm often seen to be aggressive when I'm just passionate. And I tell people, and I even wrote my paper on this for, grad school, about how higher education and women, and how they don't advance in leadership roles because of evaluation. And I spoke about how anxiety shows up in Black women. It can show up in aggression. It can show up in fatigue. It can show up in all these things. And I felt like I always have to work twice as hard, twice as much to prove who I am. And I realized I don't need to. I don't need to speak twice for someone to understand me. Like I said what I said, and that's what it is. So I think like definitely with that aspect of like going to college and finding your voice, to your point, it's like silence is your power. And at first I used to be ratter, but as I've gotten older and as I sit here crazy, 27 of age, right? And we met each other when we were like 13.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like to see the evolution of like our growth, and like remembering like where we come from, and looking from where we come from just sitting here, I must say like that is just a powerful testimony to itself, because I've seen multiple, too many people we both know that are not here to speak on their voice, their power, or even have the opportunity to even speak up for themselves in rooms. And I think about that. And when I think about those things, it makes me want to go harder, because it's like I got friends who didn't even get to see 18. Like
Yeah.
all jokes aside, like we was getting patted down before we went into school. Like call a spade a spade. We was in lockdowns while y'all are shooting out. Like we've seen it. We know what it feels like. So I definitely think it's a very powerful statement that you bring in, especially like coming from a Black man. Like I love to hear it, because I feel like it's something often where I love to tell the men around me, like, speak your emotions. Like your emotions are real. Like utilize your voice. Your voice is
But
important.
as a man, don't get too emotional. Because as a man, you can't. Like, speaking of emotions, some people like, start screaming and yelling. It's like, nah, 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 nah. Learn how to say all that in a calm, level voice. Because
Emotional intelligence.
when you're screaming and yelling and doing all that, that scares people away.
Yeah, it does.
Because you're a man and you're so like, nah,
Yeah.
just calm it down. And I feel like that's as men, because people think I always critique women. No, I critique men, but men just like we're too emotional nowadays. Like you can tell I was raised by our mothers and grandmothers, and but I still feel like women, men and women got their flaws. Well, black women, black men and women got their flaws. But I think the men is like it's kind of worse than it is the women. The women are finally get to like. I feel like you guys are finally at the stage where you can say what you want, do what you want. But now I feel like women should look at, okay, what is people's perspective on me of what I'm doing? People, I don't care what people think. No, you should care to a certain degree because what are you promoting for the next generation is what's important. You're right. People your age and older, yeah, fuck them. Who cares? But the generation under you, what are you promoting for them? And for the men, it's like, where's our masculinity at? We're losing it. It's like, what's up? Where's the? I know how to fix a car. I know how to, do shit with my hands. You feel me? I know how to lend help. I can be a is it cordial? What's the thing where you walk an old lady across the street, courtful, something like that, or hold a
Courting.
door for a woman? Yeah, courting. Like, where's that at? And we're
Culture.
missing
Well, I would lean it under, for me, I kind of lean it under culture. I think we're lacking culture. I
that. Yes.
think there's a lot of selfishness. I think we are losing a lot of the oomph. You know what I mean? I think we are at war with ourselves. I always like to say we're not fighting flesh and blood. We are fighting the spirit realm.
Yep.
And I think we need to get back to our ancestors and tap into, like, for me, I would say I believe in Lord Jesus Christ. Um, I'm a Christian, and I always like to say we need to start tapping back into it, but really truly understanding what it means to love somebody. Love is not an emotion, it is an action. And love can be anything, you know? Love can be walking that person across the street because you want them to be walked across the street. Love is seeing that someone's being harassed and you step in and say, "Hey, I'm gonna walk by you to make sure you're good." And I feel like we as a community have been losing that nourishment, that nurture, and what it means of love. Because when you think of love, I've been, for my birthday fast, I was just telling you about, like, for my birthday, I fast and I did a lot of scriptures on love, and God is love, and he loves his enemies. He loves people who doubted him. He loved people who he already knew that was going to deceive him. He still loved them and still helped them. And I think hate is starting to overpower us because we
Hate and
think
greed.
hate and greed, and hate and greed is starting to overpower a lot of people because they think the current situation is there forever. And the issue is, if it's not a test, then it's not a testimony. And it don't matter in what you believe in. I'm gonna tell you this straight up. Like, everyone got to believe in something, and I just want somebody to believe in something. But the basic need of humanity is gone. And I'm big on self-discovery, and I'm big on love, because if you're not growing and learning to love, I don't know what kind of person you're going to be in this society. Because anyone who is cold, who lacks empathy, I'm scared, because that means you're going to take me out and everything around me because it don't satisfy your need. And for me, I'm willing to die to my flesh every day to make sure the next person is good. So I think that's my spinoff. When you think about courting and you think about what's going on, I think we are lacking community. We're not tapping into what our aunts and moms and peoples are doing back then. Granted, they didn't have much. But when you think about the civil rights movement, you think about a lot of these, organizations that we're dealing with, or what they were doing, they made sure they kept God as their forefront. Like, you know what I mean? In the movements,
A lot
faith
of
is
people be like, I'm spiritual, I'm spiritual. It's like, yeah, but what does that mean? Like, oh, I believe in higher power. But it's like, no, what does that really mean?
declare your higher power.
Because
Like,
I was say spiritual for the longest, but then it was, I think, the past, like, I became Muslim 3 years ago. I took
okay,
on Shahada 3 years ago. But before I became Muslim, I was on a path of destruction. Like,
okay,
that term hurt people, that was
okay.
me. I lost my grandparents on both sides. I lost a good friend of mine. I lost my mentor. It's a whole lot of people I care about died within like year back to back to back. So I was hurt, like very, very hurt. And then for some reason, I was just like, you know what? At the time, I listened to she got friends that are African and they're Muslim. So it was coming around. It was always talking about it. Bathroom floor was always soaking wet because they was doing they would do in the bathroom. And I'm like, think about it, I'm like, well, my grandfather was Muslim. My father talked about it when we was kids. I was Jehovah's Witness, so I experienced another religion. I'm like, let me tap into like this side. So I looked into it, and I tell people I became Muslim because of the discipline. That praying 5 times a day is not a joke. Like even when you miss it, you have to make that shit up. Watching what you eat, even your diet of who you're around, the music you listen to, the intake of entertainment, of TV, and all that all goes into place of being a Muslim. So I was like, that for me, it was a discipline of staying on top of your stuff and doing what you got to do. And my brother said to me, Hakeem, he was like, I seen you going down a bad path. He's like, he prayed for me. He prayed to God, like, listen, whatever
I gotta
religion,
find something. Yeah.
yeah, whatever we're gonna find him, please, because I was gonna end up just hurting people because I was hurt. And then when I found it and I started growing into it and reading about it, a lot of my friends, even a lot of people who went to Tech Boston was like, I'm proud of you. Like, I like that. Because everyone see my growth. Once I became Muslim, I started growing because it was like, it wasn't as stressful. It felt more natural to me. It felt like this was something like the religion that was for me. And people, my family had their jokes, but like, it's cool. Like, I'm fine with the jokes and all that. But I'm happy. I'm finally happy with something. And I finally feel like I'm being heard spiritually, like when I pray.
Yeah. I'm happy that you share that because I think it also goes into like what I was gonna ask about, like what challenges did you face in Boston and like how did uplift. And I think it kind of goes into, for me, like I grew up in a Methodist church. As an African child, I come from a Christmas family. Sierra Leoneans were known for Christmas. So, meaning, for those who don't understand it, some are Christian, some are Muslim. My name is a Muslim name, Mariama, because my godmother is a Muslim woman. But I grew up in my household Methodist. And my mom was a Catholic, my brother's a Catholic, but my dad was a Methodist. But religion was always in my home like this. So I knew that there was God.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand the concept of Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, God. I didn't know what that was, and I can't make this up to you, Kai, until I was like 25, 26. And it wasn't until I moved out and I lived by myself. And I like to always say, my biggest challenge that I faced for myself was trying to figure out my purpose. And my I thought it was Mariama's will. Like I
Mm-hmm.
thought what I say is gonna go.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like my money was going. I'm in grad school. Like keep in mind, like I'm first gen. I graduated undergrad. I made it out of Boston. Like I moved. Like I live in the DMV. Like I moved. But I was underneath my parents' covering. And I think a lot of people don't understand this. Like when you're in your family home, you're covered in that home because that is your family's covering. But what I realized as I moved out of my family's home, I didn't have my own covering. I didn't know I knew who God was. I was praying to God, but I didn't make God my friend. I didn't invite him in. I thought it was my will. I thought I had control over my life. And at one point in time, I remember when I used to say, like, I'm spiritual, like I'm not a Christian, you know what I mean? Like all of this stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like I won't sit here and lie to you, like into the tarot, like into the universe. Like I was really like trying to figure out what is for me. And it wasn't until like conviction, like I was like, nah, like my life is not going. Granted, it looks good to y'all, but my life is not going what it needs to be. Like I just moved out of the house. I don't know what to do. I don't know money management. I got a job. I just lost a job. I'm trying to figure out grad school. I gotta finish grad school. I can't stay in grad school for too long because no one's paying for this but me. You know what I mean? Like the weight is on my shoulders. And keep in mind, like I'm going to Georgetown University. This ain't no small little school. Like I'm going to an Ivy League school. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a black woman at that. And it's like I just felt so confused up until something happened with one of my friends around me, and I just went to church. And I just told myself, like, I think when you talked about who's looked like a legacy, what are we looking for? And I always say, like, I want to give back to my city. Like, I want my city to look at me and be like, she did it for us. Like, I want to be like, she was one of us. She was in our classrooms and she made it. And that's what kept me pushing, because I was like, there's a purpose on my life to help people. And my purpose is to speak. My purpose is to be a leader. But I also realized my purpose doesn't come with Mariama. My purpose comes with God. Like Jesus is going to show me Mariama's purpose. And I always say, loving God is going to come with heartbreak, because the things that you thought of the world, you're going to start to learn how to break, and you're going to, be set free from. And it's going to be almost 1 year actually in February 1st will be 1 year of me not smoking weed. And I commend myself, because that had me on a chain of procrastination. There was things that just kept me sluggish. And don't get me wrong, I fight challenges every single day. There's other challenges that I'm fighting, but that was one of my biggest challenges I
Like
had.
doing a small, I'm stuttering, but each small challenges will help you. Like it will help you.
Get better. And that's when I realized, and that's when I started to do deeper framework, and I started to learn the Bible for myself. And that's when I started to sit here and say, like, it's not Mariama's will, it's God's will, it's God's purpose. He already created me in his perfect image. Like he already knows my today to my tomorrow and my ending. And I have to trust him on this big walk of faith. So I think just like, those challenges, there's many challenges that I face, but I think my biggest challenge every day is just one, being first gen, but also just coming from the area that I've come from is just, I want to be better. Like I want people to know, like, you can leave your city and be great. Like you can get it out the money. It don't matter. And I tell people, like, do not look at money. If you look at your bank account, then you're never going to amount to what you're gonna do. Because if you looked at my bank account, half of the times when I'm doing these big courageous moves, y'all are gonna be like, you're crazy. But I move on faith, and I move that I know God got my back, and that's my purpose. Because if I sit there and look at my bank account, I probably don't know what I would do. You know what I mean? And I'm very grateful and thankful for going to the school I went to for middle school, in elementary school. But I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to go to BAA, because I'll be honest with you, guys, I think if I stayed at Tech Boston, I don't think you would get this version of Mariama. I don't know who I would have
I'm
become.
not gonna lie. Yeah, you probably would have turned into. You probably would have got ghetto. No.
I don't know, but I mean, like, I don't think my mother would let me be ghetto. But I also feel like I would have never saw the world as big as it is.
Yeah, you would have been like small. That's what I. To me, that's ghetto.
Okay.
Like having a
Small
small
minded, you're not
mindset,
lying. Yeah.
having a small mindset, thinking the world's only one way, and like it's like your brain would never expanded.
Yeah, no, I don't think my brain would ever expanded. I don't think, and that's what I always tell people. Like, even you talking about your experience with college, I think it's vital for people to at least branch out and see the world, because I think we get so caught up in the city and what this, like, this is my city, it's my city, my city. Like, yeah, that's your city, but you don't know who you're gonna meet on this journey.
Who says that your life partner is in your city? It could be somewhere else in the world.
Yeah, it could be
My
somewhere else.
grandparents used to say that all the time. Like, if you don't do nothing, travel. If you don't do nothing, travel. And it's crazy because I only literally been to maybe 4 states, drove to two, took a plane. I've been to LA twice, drove to Philly, drove to Atlanta. Yeah, three. The rest of them I went to like for college for sports, but wasn't there for long. But I just got my passport last year, so
Amen.
I'm really gonna get into like traveling and all that because, like you said, like I probably and the path I'm on because I want to be in education for my
Okay,
future.
same.
There's really no point in me leaving Boston if we got the best education in the world.
Yeah,
Like,
you're not lying. As
but
someone who worked in education, I got my
yeah,
master's in higher ed. You're in the best city. You are.
But yeah, I want to like just go out in the world, experience different stuff. Even like schooling, like I want to be one of the people like because I want to have my own school one day. But
Okay.
my school is based off of a video I seen of a school in China, so
Dope.
I want to be able to go to China and like go to their school and like take down notes on how they do their schooling, their lifestyle, their culture, like stuff like that. I like learning about different cultures too. So
Okay.
because I realize being a Black American or what's the word they call us now? The new I forgot the new word they call us now. Dr. Umar Johnson made it up. Shout out to him. But we don't know,
If you
like
remember, please show me that word, because I want to know what you're talking.
like you. It's something Fat Joe said it recently. Like it's why he's getting backlash from the Black community. But like you can trace back to you're from Sierra Leone, your parents and all that, where I can't trace back to nothing. People
Hmm.
ask me all the time, what are you? I'm just black. You're not just black. Like, where's your mother from? Where your parents from? My dad's from Roxbury. My mother's from Roxbury. Grandmother's from Alabama, moved to Boston. Grandfather's from Roxbury. What country? I don't know. I really don't. Like, they're like, what race? Black. I hear I may be a Native American. I may be having some Trinity. I don't know. But,
Hmm.
and I try to tell people that's like, from an African American standpoint, that's kind of like, it sucks, but at the same time, we deal with it. Like, deep down for me, it sucks
Okay.
because I want to know, like I said, I'm into different cultures. I want to know what my culture is. I don't want to just have to think my culture is this one. It's not really that, you
Mm.
know? So I wish, like, people, oh, take a DNA test. I'm not taking a DNA test
You're
so
not
the
finna have
government can
that.
have my blood in the system. Nah, I'm good. I'll just, do my history with my older family members, talking about certain stuff, maybe find it through there. But yeah, I feel like the culture with Black Americans, like our culture realistically is hip hop. That's really us.
Yeah.
Uh, the fashion industry, like how we dress in hip hop, like hip hop is all everything of African American culture put in one. But
Mm.
nowadays, it's just that's being even taken over and saturated by other cultures, and people ain't really giving their like they ain't shouting us out because you look at a lot of people around the world. They're like, oh, that's American culture. No, that's African American culture. They're taking and stealing, but they
Mm.
don't want to give us credit because most people, from gangs to other people in other countries, they think America, especially Black Americans, we ain't nothing because we don't know how to stick together as one. And I feel like that's something that our generation is slowly breaking because I feel like if shit was really hit the fan for Black people, our generation would be like, all right, we ain't finna march for none of that bullshit. We finna load up. Everyone finna defend themselves
Yeah.
and handle their business. I feel like that's what our generation is becoming and the future generation become.
I
We're not.
think the voices are being spoken, conversations are being had, um,
Action is being taken.
actions being taken. Slowly but surely, we are getting degrees. The women are getting degrees. There are more doctors. We are
We're starting to
learning.
have money. Like our
We're
like people.
educating ourselves financially literacy. Like we are realizing like we can take hold of our power, keep the black
Mhm.
dollar within the black dollar. I agree. I agree.
That's why I
Slowly
love
but surely.
what's his name. Like my real change, my mindset came when I discovered. I always knew Nipsey Hussle was like his music. I got older brothers and all that, but then it wasn't until his rollout of his clothing line and his album that like it was like 2015, 2016 when I dived into him. I'm like, damn, this dude is like to me, he's a man's man. Like he gang bang, he get money, he get girls, he's smart, he read hella books, he got his own company, and he's giving back to his community. What can he do wrong? And to my head, it's like that's the type of man I want to be. I want to be a man who can help out his community, can also talk from the street guys to the political guys, can talk to women, can connect with children, but just give back. And his one of his sayings was the greatest human act is to inspire. So if I can inspire one person, that's good enough for me. And that's when I came to a point to where all right, let me start coaching. Shout out to Johnny Mims. He got me into coaching a few years back. He was telling me like, "Yo, you'll love it. Like watching a kid do something like you train him to do, and he doesn't. He's excited. It's a different feeling." And then when I started doing it, I was like, "Yeah, I like that." So I started off at a white school, Newton South, and then I left there. Going through life stuff, trying to going in and out of jobs, living situations, just different. And it wasn't until what was it? I think it was like a few years ago, like at least 2 years ago. No, it wasn't 2 years ago. I'll say like 4 years ago. I made up. I was writing stuff because I have my own. I'll say I joined a fraternity. It's like a fraternity. I'll say that.
Mhm.
And one of the acts was be community involved. And so I was like, my mom worked at a community center. Let me go there. I started working at a community center, and that's when I realized, oh, I'm good with kids. Because growing up, you ask me, would you work with kids? Hell no, I ain't watching on kids. I ain't dealing on kids. But working there made me realize, nah, kids like you. They gravitate to you because I'm realizing a lot of these kids are me. A lot of these kids, like I'm looking at them and see little me's. Like I know why you're acting out. I know why. Like one kid, he used to be the class clown. Always got something smart to say, and then come to find out, the little boy can't read. I'm like, I was that same little boy. I didn't know how to read to the fifth grade. When I told him, he's like, "What?
Oh, wow.
How are you an adult and a teacher?" And I was like, "Bro, because I didn't know how to read to the fifth grade." Like, and after that, I sat with him and we read like one on one. I'll take time to read with him, do his homework, and his grades ended up getting good. He ended up getting A's and B's, and his mother was so proud of him. And his mom, and he gave me the credit. Like he was like, I was because of Kai. I'm like, what? And his mom showed me, and that's when it clicked in my head. Like, all right, this is what you're meant for. Like, you're meant to really help the kids in your community that are just like you. You know,
Yeah.
the adults. You think you want to help the adults and people your age you, but it's like, nah, we're going through our own shit to where the you help the future. They're the
Yeah.
future. If I help these kids when they're at their age now, when I get old and I die, my kids gonna be like, oh, I remember when Mr. Kai said this or Coach Kai told me this, and that shit became true. Like our principal, all your old principal, my old principal too, Mr. Love. There's a lot of stuff Mr. Love used to tell me. I used to think like, man, he's bugging. But then it wasn't until I went through. I'm like, damn, Love was right. He had a good point. Like to me, I feel like that's big in our community. Like we need a lot of male figures and female figures like that to be real teachers. I feel like everybody want to be a leader, but no one want to teach. But I feel like being a teacher is a leader because you're
Mhm.
you're teaching someone something to where they can use that in life and probably go even further than they were before.
Yeah, you're planting a seed. I think that's
Exactly.
another reason why I went into education and I really loved. I got my master's in higher ed because of what I was doing in student activities and just learning to just be a leader, but like put on events and teach. I always used to say that the reason why I love education is because you get to take the minds of young folks and build the future. You don't know who you're going to inspire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I brought up Miss Milton. There's Miss Milton, sixth grade history teacher. She used to work with my dad, who my dad was a teacher. My dad was a history teacher, and the mere fact all she did was plant the seed with Black History Month, and all Miss Leonard did was see my vision and say, "Yeah, you want to go to BAA? Come to my room every day at lunch." And it was me, Deosha,
I want to
and
say a few y'all.
it was all three of us, and we all just went there every day. And I did that same "Ain't I a Woman" Sojourner Truth because I did it, and I got in. But like I'm getting chills in my body just hearing you say that because it's like it's
You don't
those
think teachers like
people.
that no more.
No, like and also too as an educator, as someone who when I came out here, I was teaching. I was in a Montessori school. I don't know if a lot of people know what Montessori is, but Montessori is kind of like independent learning, and it was created in Italy, but it is basically like the children have different levels, so like they're grouped up but they're very learned to be independent. So Montessori is them like being able to cut their own food, pick out their own works. And I was like, I wish I went to Montessori school because if I was given this space to learn, I would have been good at math. Because fun fact, I took math in college over 4 times.
The freshman year math.
Freshman year math, I took it
Yeah,
over.
you should have paid someone to do it for you because I
No,
was
but
begging to
you
have
know
you do
what? I sit here and tell you, I went to tutoring and I sat with this girl named Stephanie. It was Stephanie. I think it's Stephanie. Don't get me wrong, Stephanie. And I got a B. That was the first time where I realized math was in my head. I was in my head. I hated to write. I hated to write. And I hated to write because certain teachers in my life told me, please don't tell me you don't know how to write. And I was like, huh? I don't know how to write. Like, what do you mean I don't know how to write? Whatever the case may be. And I went to a school and I can write papers in my sleep and get straight A's. You know what I mean? Like, I had teachers tell me, oh, Mariama, do not apply to college. You're not going to get into college. And I got into one school. Don't get me wrong. I really didn't get into college. You would look at me and be like, really? You didn't get into college? I didn't get into no schools. I got into Suffolk and I got into Rhode Island College. And that was it. And I picked Rhode Island because it was 45 minutes away from my house. And I got my first 3.0, right? And I got into Georgetown with a 2.976 and I graduated with a 3.5, 3.6. You know what I mean? And this is me telling you there was people along the way telling me, yes, you can do it. No, you cannot. Teachers in my face telling me, I don't think you should apply to this school because you're not going to get in. And I got in. So I think it's very vital about who's in the classrooms and how we are uplifting these students and what they're seeing. And I think to your point about perspective, and we should care about how we are perceived, I do agree. I think we should think about, do we want to have a heavy influence? Do we want to see tomorrow? And I believe that as a teacher, and as even me, like, trying to figure out, do I want to go back to teaching? Do I want to do this? I remember I was at an interview and I went to the school and I taught this lady's son. And this like at a Montessori school, and she was like, "You taught my son. My son talks about you every single day." That's 3 years ago. That little kid is in fifth grade.
Hmm.
He was like in second grade. The mere fact that I still have an impact on a child right now, like
It's crazy.
imagine what that child is going to be like. Like even sitting down and going to my school and talking to my teachers, I'm like, you help me. Like I think about your encouragement and your yes when other people around me said no, especially in the world that we're in. So I do think we definitely need more people like you in the classrooms who are going to be real.
I don't want to
Because
be a teacher. I can't. I'm
not a
not.
teacher,
I
but
still, I
you're
still, when
doing
I read out
great.
loud, I still be stuttering. I ain't doing. But
Like
me
different
personally,
ways to teach. It doesn't
me,
mean you're
I'd rather be a dean or a principal because I feel like that's what we're missing. The kids are missing. The kids are missing discipline. Their parents want to be their friends, and then the teachers nowadays want to coddle them and treat them like babies. No, life doesn't work like that. I want to be the one. No, you're getting suspended. You broke the rules, bro. That's you're getting suspended. Like you have
that's life.
yeah,
That's
that's life. Or you gotta keep that in the classroom, bro. You was disrupt. Like I don't feel like we hold kids
being a
accountable
discipline. I can
anymore.
see that.
Yeah, like I'd rather be that. And kids already say off rip, like, working at school, you got a face tattoo? Why you got that? You're not supposed to have that. I'm like, well, I got it and I'm working here, right? Well, now I want a tattoo on my face. I'm like, no, we're not doing all that. But even one girl at the school I work at now, because a lot of kids, certain kids that have certain classrooms for them. If
Mm,
you're not really like handicapped or on the spectrum, they're putting you in with everybody else. So a
mm.
lot of the kids, we're thinking, why is this kid whining? Why is this kid screaming and crying? Why are they like yelling and not talking? One girl, she's like known for not listening, like hitting teachers, talking crazy to them. So one day she's in the park. It's time for her to go inside. She don't want to go inside. I'm like, yo, they got these things called star tickets to where like if you do good, they'll give you these tickets. You got enough tickets, you can like buy stuff at this like candy, toys, stuff like that in the school. I was like, yo, come inside. Like, it's time for you to come inside. She's like, no, like, leave me alone. I'm like, nah, like, it's time for you to go. They're like, nah, just leave her. They're going to call student support, what they call. I'm like, listen, if I give you star tickets where you, like, go inside, she looked at me. She, like, kind of, like, cocked her hand. She had, like, this toy in her hand to cock her hand back to hit me. I was like, yo, I hit children. And she looked at me and stopped and put it down. I was like, now, listen, I'll give you 10 of these if you go inside. 10, took them from me, counted them. What do you want me to do? Grab her stuff, went inside. I'm like, stuff like that. Like, you gotta let them, you can't, because some used to be letting these kids just hit them and say whatever. Nah, let them know that's wrong. I'm an adult. Like, you can't be talking to me and just doing whatever you want.
I also think though the reason why they're soft is because these kids are starting to understand that you can go to jail.
Yo, a mother told me that. She said, my
And
son
you
told
have to be
me, yes,
very, 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 and I'm gonna say this, very, very careful.
you still gotta go also as
Especially
a
you
parent.
being a black man in education, continue to have boundaries.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they be asking for like they'll just like give a hug.
No
I'm like,
hug.
no, 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 no. Coach Kai, you can't just. It's called personal space. You can't just give me a hug. Personally, I don't like being touched without my permission. Period. Like that's been me my whole life. So when a kid try to run up and hug me, I didn't ask for. You didn't ask me, and I didn't say I was accepting hugs. So
Yeah.
now there's certain kids that be like, Coach Kai, got it. Can I get a hug? I'm like, well, I'm in a hugging mood today, so I guess I'll give you a hug. But certain kids that come with daps because I don't do hug. Okay, let's do a dap. Cool, that's that. But yeah,
You have to
I'm one of
be
them teachers
able to,
that's not. I don't. I just think I don't think that kids should just be freely with another adult, no matter if it's a teacher or not.
and if
Like
they are, I definitely think there's something that you need to figure out and see why do they feel this comfortable.
yeah,
Because I think something else that's been popping up, there's been a lot of cases of like, the mistreatment of these
kids, yeah,
girls. And I always wonder, like, back to like, thinking about the community and thinking about what's going on. Me, when I used to work because I worked at the Roxbury Y for 3 years, and I had one little girl, that honestly, like, she used to pee on herself. And if you know what that means, like if someone's peeing on themselves when they see a man come into a
They're
room,
scared.
they're scared, but why?
Mm-hmm.
That was uncomfortable to be a mandated reporter on those things. And I wonder, like, when you think about these stories going on with these children, and I'm thinking about who's in the classroom, even to like what's going on currently right now in our political stance, how kids are not even going to school because of their parents not being undocumented and all
Mm-hmm.
these things. It's like it's a very interesting world that we're living in. Of It's not like what it was, Kai, back in the day with me and you when we was in school and we are walking to Ashmont and we're laughing and joking, like seriously, like we're gonna meet at Ashmont, or we gonna go to the pizza shop right across the street to go get us a pizza. Like it wasn't like we can run away. Like no, there are guns being put into these schools. The people that are supposed to be watching these children, like the
I'm
people that
watching.
are community leaders, sometimes these people that we expect and we love, your mentors, are tormenting these children or doing things. And I think we need more discernment. We need more people who are willing to do the job, but do the job correctly,
Yes.
because we're not going to be able to grow and we're not going to be able to be better if we are keep doing stuff within ourselves. But I think there's so much back trauma that a lot of people deal with. And I feel like with the shortage of, like, after COVID, I think things for me in the education system has changed. I feel like they've been just hiring any and anybody. People are
Yeah.
doing jobs because they're not passionate about it. They're not doing a job because they care. And for me, I worked in education for 6 years and I worked in communications for about 6 years. But these past 3 years, I've been in the comms world because I started to lose my passion for education. And I feel like there's two jobs in this world. It is taking care of elderly people and taking care of children. If you can't do it your full might, don't do it at all.
And I
Because
feel
you
like
don't you don't want to miss your blessing.
And I feel like if you care about money and your finances, you shouldn't be in education because everyone knows across the world teachers don't get paid shit. Like
No.
that's well known. So you better find a hobby on the side. You feel me? Because that's how I am. I never really cared about bread. Like my people always tell me, do something. My grandfather used to say, do something that doesn't feel like a job that you wouldn't mind not getting paid for. And I don't mind not getting paid for helping kids out. You feel me? I
Yeah.
don't mind not getting paid to coach. I don't mind not getting paid to give a kid some friendly advice or be a ear so a kid can.
So with that talk, I just want to know, like, who has been your accountability and like mentorship, and like what advice would you give to someone like you who's trying to break barriers and trying to elevate themselves?
Um, my mentorship, like I there's a lot of people growing up for me on my mentorship, but the main one, and had this conversation with them earlier, and I'll be telling them is my brother Hakeem. Hakeem was like my father. Hakeem, like that, like real life. Like he's really like my dad. Like he damn near raised me. Like anything I want to know as a black man, as a man, period, he had the answers to. So I hold him in the high regards. And that's kind of why people, if everyone wondered, like when it came to him, I like what? Like I'm ready to body somebody for that because he taught me. Like honestly, if it wasn't for him, I would just think I'm a dumb, like angry person. Like
That's
you
not
feel
that's
me? Like he made me think like I'm better. Like and I took him to like certain moments to this day. I still do it. There's Kai's way when I want to handle it my way. Then it's like, but your way is kind of like it's destructive. What would Kimi do? And I like when I put it like that, it's like I my voice gets turned down a little bit, get a little swag to it. Use big words. I'm like, cause that's him. Like so he's been my mentor, big brother, father figure for me. And as for what I would say for someone like myself, a kid like myself, um, don't typecast yourself or don't put yourself in a box. Do explore other things. Because for the longest I was known as the football player, the jock. I didn't like that. People know I did not like that. So that's why I purposely started reading books, getting into politics, doing history. Like so, when I have conversation with people, it's not just oh, you seen that football game? Like, just put yourself in different situations and put yourself in uncomfortable situations and watch how you come out of that situation. You just add on another level to yourself that will help you in life later on. That's what I would say to someone like me.
That's dope. I would say my mentor for me has been my mother. Um, I feel like watching someone build their life with nothing and then being able to see her have everything, like the fruits of her labor, like her own shop, her own home back home in Sierra Leone, and also too, like she's always believed in me when I don't believe in myself. When it came down to like my creativity, she's always allowed me to be creative. She's always allowed me to be comfortable in my voice, even when the world wants me to shut up, even when people don't see value. So I think something that I'll tell like a younger person or another black woman or even another African child who is in a home and they are doing non-traditional things as in nursing, doctor, lawyer. The trajectories of life that will I will honestly say though, those trajectories are those are trades that are needed. You know what I mean? But when you go the route that I kind of went, where it's the creative side of things and believing in your creativity and believing in your voice, but also, still getting the education and a little bit of struggle, money's coming, but money's coming slowly, is to trust the process and to allow the uncomfortableness to bake who you are. And if you're not uncomfortable, you are not growing.
Exactly.
And you have to understand what it means to fight it through the mud because it builds character. That discernment that you need and that the way to work for something, it's not easy. I always tell people I'm living in answered prayers. I'm fulfilling the little girl in me. Never in a million years did I think I would have.
Oh, that's crazy. I just thought that the other day. I'm like, the kid, like, even just right now, like my
Yeah.
hair. Like for the longest growing up, I was like, I'm gonna grow my hair out. I started growing it out. My siblings like, damn, you look like kid version of you. And I see baby pictures of me. It's like, damn, I do look like that. That's why I realized to myself, yeah, you. That's what I feel like adults miss out,
Heal
and that's
your
why
inner
I think
child.
kids have life the best because that feeling, that kid feeling you have, that's you're not worried about shit. It's just like it's just a good feeling. You're enjoying yourself. You're smiling. You're happy.
Yeah.
You're not worrying about tomorrow. You're not worrying about a bill. You're not worrying about a relationship. You're just worrying about the moment right now and enjoying it. And I feel like that's what adults miss as we get older.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm jealous of kids because like, damn, I get to have that for a long time until you
Says
get a
who?
certain age.
Says who? Everyone has free will, guy.
Oh no. I'm just saying,
No, but I'm just saying it to you like everyone has free will. You know what
yeah.
I mean? We all have free will. And I feel like you have to wake up and choose free will every day. And every day I wake up and I wake up to heal my inner child because that little girl is still in me. And I think what I loved about children that us as adults we lack is we can get fall and get back up and keep running. And you're a racist coach. So I know you see these little kids fall, cut,
I'd be like,
run.
damn, I'll
Fall,
fall.
cut.
My shit will be fucked up.
But keep in mind, I'm using that analogy as
Yeah.
in we have to
In
be
life,
okay
yeah.
to fall, run,
It's
get
okay to
back up,
fail.
fall. Yeah, it's okay. I'm sitting here letting you know. I broke it down to you. Like I've failed so many times. I've taken the most L's in the past 3 years of my
Mhm.
life. I've seen my bank account go from the highest to the lowest. I'm figuring out what to eat and not knowing how something's going to get paid based off of faith. So I think one thing I admire about children, and I always say, it's always good to kind of have a childlike mindset, is to just recognize what you're living in and, you know, be happy that
Mhm.
you're being able to live out that inner girl or that inner boy because I think we hold ourselves hostage of what we think we should be when you got to remember you have free will. We have free will. You know what I mean? And I always say, like, the devil wants you to keep you in a cycle. When the devil want to keep you in a cycle, it takes over your mind. Your mind and your heart is the most two important things that we have in life. Keeping that pure heart and that clean mind. And that clean mind comes with the people around you, the people that you allow to be in your circle, the people that you allow to speak to you, the people that you allow to put life into you, the people that you allow to be around you. And if you let anyone corrupt your mind and take over that cycle, you're back at it again. So,
Mhm.
to the point is, we all have free will. The choice is, are you going to wake up and take it?
No, I agree with you on that for sure.
Like, are you going? And I'm gonna tell you, there's some days where I take it, and there's some days where
Like,
it's
nah,
a bad.
fuck it.
I'm like, yo, turn it off. Like, and then I gotta why myself and be like, yo, like, you can't win. Like, you gotta wake up every day and choose to fight. And I don't know what that fight looks like for you, for me, for anybody. But you gotta wake up every day and actually, I take it back. I know what that fight looks like. This fight looks like for the little girl who was walking with her braids to Ashmont, catching a 23 to her mother's shop. That fight
I
is
don't
that
know
little
who the
girl
braids.
that little girl who was getting bullied because she had tracks, and now look at everybody. That fight is
Good
for.
tracks at that too.
No,
Like
but thank
on
you.
point.
Like, let them know. Like, that fight is that little girl who was told she was ugly, but now look at me. Like, that fight is for other people to know. Like, yes, they had what they said about me, and they said what they thought they said. But every day I choose to free will and to make sure that someone can hear this voice. And like I say about my podcast, I don't know who this can be an insight. You don't know. You said something about inspire. You don't know who you can inspire. And even if it's one person or two-person, I think you have to see life through different variations of different people, because God uses different vessels. Sometimes he used the ones that you wouldn't even think. And even in the Bible, he used certain people who have done the most horrendous things. And they were able to save mountains and save people. So you don't know who we can touch and what bridge you can do. So I really enjoyed this conversation. I think we should talk more.
Yeah,
Because I
I
want to pick
think
your brain about relationships. I'm not gonna lie. I think we have a
you said
great.
what?
I want to pick your brain on relationships.
Hey, I'm with
Dating,
that too.
love.
I don't mind because my thing because I realize this too. Like growing up, I I don't like dudes. Like I'm not really a fan of men like that. Even as friends, I have a small group of men I like to be around out of my friends. Women, I love women so much I don't mind. Like I learned how to separate being a friend, being someone who want to fuck a girl. So after coaching an all women's flag football team, a lot of them became my friends. Picking their mind was like it was lit to me because like all right, now I can see from a woman's perspective from different kinds of women, from different kinds of ethnicities. Like so like even relationships wise, I always speak my truth, tell a girl, listen, this is my relationship, this is my mindset at the time. And they'll give me, their opinion. Even for them, like one homegirl, she's dating well, she was messing with one of my homeboys, and they're older than me. Remind you, these people are in their 30s, mid 30s, coming to me with their fucking shit, and I'm just telling her, like, nah, you're in the wrong. Like my homie, I know my homie. He never said this. He would never say that. Like he's that honest, but he'll never.
Wisdom, Kai. It don't
But
matter about age. It's about your
because
brain.
yeah,
That's
but
wisdom.
because she's just so fond over him, she just wants him to like say yes to everything and to do this. It's like no, he already voiced and told you that this is what I'm on. You can't try to change a man. Don't try to change a man. You wouldn't want a man trying to change you.
And before we even get into that, because I'm gonna end it here, I'm gonna say is, my fellow ladies, please listen to a man once.
Listen, and everyone
He
needs to
tells
know
you
this.
what he wants, how he wants it, and what he's gonna do. Us as women, we need to stop changing the perception on it. You can't say maybe I can make his change his mind. When somebody tells me what they want and how they want, I never sit down and try to change their perception. That is not my job. We're not aligned. Our values don't meet.
You
And I
can
leave.
either help them grow or you can keep them where they're at.
Yeah,
That's
like I said to my homegirls recently, picking the wrong man could take you out either down what path of life. Picking the wrong woman can take you down this path or this path. You choose your, hold on, back to what I said before, free will.
Well, yeah.
You all got free will. So pick and choose, like we was talking about before, about certain situations and relationships and stuff like that, and realizing like, oh, this ain't for me. Not everything's glitter and glow. And I realize your values and what you really want and what do you value in a person. It matters. It matters in community. It matters in relationships. But I also think to just like what's interesting about it too is like I don't think, in my opinion, I don't feel like we get the real in and out of relationships. Like
Yes.
we don't see the nitty gritty. We're not often exposed to what love is or what it's supposed to look like. For me, like I grew up in an African home where I seen it this way, but I don't want to love like that. So I gotta unlove it. But the only thing that I have is TV and Instagram, you know?
But
So
then that's when you go off of your experiences.
yeah.
What you like, what you didn't like. You start trying to like form
Just like
pieces of like, yeah.
yeah, within your community. So regardless of it, we will definitely get into it. And I appreciate you like coming on, chopping it up with me. Any
No.
last words? Anything else that you just want to let the people know?
Um, to people, follow your dreams. Like, and it's okay to not know what you want, like, and not know what your passion is yet. Like, it's okay. Just keep digging and keep striving and keep finding new things till you find out what you really want to do.
I agree. Self discovery is big. I think every day, and I'm gonna tell y'all this: self discovery is big. Um, and always know that you got free will. And if you want to make something different in your life, it's you. If something's not going right in your life, it's you. If you don't got no money, it's you. Just think about it. Amount of like think about if you could put the same effort into people and everything around you and you took that energy and threw it into you, you'll see yourself in 30, 90 days a difference. So peace and blessings. Thank y'all for listening. Tune in. I'll definitely have all our talking so fast. Look at me. I'll have all of our information below, but definitely tune in, comment, like, subscribe. Peace and blessings, y'all.